You're listening to Permission to Heal, proudly brought to you by Ally Therapy, where brave human stories around mental health meet expert insight. And I'm Kelly, your host and registered psychotherapist at Ally. Join us in a space to speak freely, connect deeply, and heal in community. So I met this woman
Yes.
about 5 minutes ago, and I
Yes.
think we're already
We're like, we're obviously
besties, twins,
totally.
same human on the inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Little
ditto.
different hair color,
but
like,
you know what?
whatever.
I'm loving this hair color. So I
Thank
know
you.
yours is natural, but I'm thinking, how can I get that color for me? This is great. I love it. But it fits your complexion perfectly. You
Oh my
just
gosh.
it's just, lovely.
Love starting off with the compliments.
Yeah.
So we have Sarah DiMuro.
DiMuro, sure, whatever. Yep,
Sarah
whatever.
DiMuro here. She is a writer. She's a journalist. She's an actor. She is a breast cancer survivor.
Yes.
She's going to tell us about kind of her journey. You're
Yeah.
passionate about spreading your story,
Absolutely.
supporting community, supporting people to find joy in the struggle and in the pain.
Yep.
We're going to talk about therapy. We're going to talk about depression. We're going to talk about the really unique way you built your family.
Yes, it was unique. Yep.
So let's get into it.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This is such an awesome, yay, feel so excited. But yeah, I would probably say I've always wanted to be a writer. I always wanted to share my story. I love sharing my stories. That's the most fun thing is to get up there and talk about yourself and make fun of yourself. But I think I really started to write seriously when I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Okay.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 41. My first child was 9.5 months old. And I had what I thought was just a clogged milk duct or whatever, and it turned out to be, whoa. And they thought it was worse than it was, but it was still, I needed a double mastectomy. But as you're waiting for results, you're waiting for tests. You're waiting. I really got a sense of the medical community. They're even the best doctors, they can only do so much, right?
Mhm.
So you're waiting with your thoughts and your fears. I needed somebody, so I wrote about my journey. And then I connected eventually through the writing gave me so much peace. And I shared it very honestly, what the heck is this? And my stories. And then what I did was I shared it with people. And then I got more people well, you want to share this? And then I connected with Rethink Breast Cancer, which is an organization geared toward women that are 45 and under that are dealing with breast cancer. And that was just great. And they were like, would you want to do stuff on camera? I'm like, I love to do stuff on camera. So I took them my first thing was going to an oncologist, getting a second opinion in New York City, because I was chemo isn't always a done deal. I ultimately didn't do it. You're given a number on your tumor. It's so different than it was 20 years ago. Everyone that had cancer would just get chemo. Now they have to decide whether it's actually going to work for your specific type of cancer. So it's very, very, very intuitive, this chemo. But you get a number, it's from 1 to 100, and my number was 20, which is almost chemo. So it's it was up to me. I'm like, oh my God, this is I'm at the worst game show ever. I'm like, what door am I going to take? You know what I mean? So, but ultimately it was the decision not to do chemo, which is good. But what I did get to do was I got to be put in menopause immediately and take lots of pills that eat up all your estrogen. Because estrogen, I didn't realize this, but when you're pregnant, your estrogen levels are more in one day than you have in a whole year. It's why your skin looks so good and your boobs look so, things are really, estrogens, it's important.
You become a full woman.
Yeah, I'm like, hello,
Yeah.
I got B cups now, baby.
Yeah.
Of course they tried to kill me, but it was that kind of feeling, and all that estrogen in your bones, and I just needed to share all this because it was I went from being 40 to 55 in in 2 weeks, and
with a baby.
Yeah, with a baby, and I had a double mastectomy. And because it was they just wanted to get rid of it, and which is great. Lymph node dissection. It hadn't spread to the lymph nodes. I was fortunate. But they had to be aggressive with the hormone because they knew that this was 100% estrogen receptor positive.
Okay.
And there's all different types of breast cancer. It's and a lot of people don't realize this about breast cancer. Like my husband, who was well, your boobs are gone, so you can't get cancer again, right? And I'm like, no, actually, it can spread to your brain, your bones, your lungs, your liver. Those are the places where breast cancer likes to hide out and then just reappear. Surprise, I'm here. And then it's incurable. So, and it's metastatic, and in which case, like, it's impossible to, like, get rid of. You can get, like, no evidence of disease, you can do that, but you can't get rid of it completely.
Yeah.
At that and that was what was really, like, I had a little kid, I was like, "I'm not gonna miss this." I mean, I didn't
Mhm.
gain 35 pounds for nothing, you know? I want this baby, to know me and to great,
Mhm.
and that's when we also decided that, we wanted to have another baby. I
Mhm.
I was kind of on the fence, but my sister was with me so much during this cancer, and this is the thing about having a sibling that you can, like, speak to, that you can connect with.
Yeah.
I was like and my parents were, like, terrified, and I love my parents, like, they're my best friends, like, they're amazing, but, my sister was the one that went with me to New York for the second opinion.
Okay.
She held my hand when we were getting the final results, like,
She
she
was
was
your
there. Yeah, she
person.
was. Her and my mother-in-law, who I'm also was really close with,
Uh-huh.
they were, like, there for me. So I realized I wanted that for my kids, and if I could cultivate that for them, that would be great.
Mm.
So we wanted to have a baby. I was 41, and they were like, "Well, you can wait, like, 3." I'm not waiting 3 years. I was like, "No, no, no," because and then they could take me off the pill, like, could monitor me, but the but I would still be very dangerous. It would be very dangerous. They'd have
Okay.
to I was like, it could put me at risk, and
Okay.
and I couldn't do it right away, and I was like, "Well, I need to carry another figure this out."
Yeah.
So, what we had done is we had had a backup plan years ago. We had frozen our embryos, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in Canada, great Canada, it's much more affordable. So, we had 14 embryos on ice, like,
Amazing.
amazing. So, we found a great surrogate. I found her on Facebook because that's where all the best
Stop
things
it.
are. I found my everything,
On
I
Facebook,
Facebook
how did you tell me?
Marketplace, obviously. No, just kidding. I made a bid and I won. No. No, it was I originally went through an agency, but in Canada, you cannot pay someone to carry your child. It's
Mhm.
against the law. You will go to jail. You can't just do that. In the States, Kim Kardashian can pay whoever she wants, but this is not like that. So you have to find people that really want to do this.
That are willing.
Yes. And who would want to do this for no money, right?
It's a
So
rare kind of person.
exactly. So we went through an agency, and the people they were sending us before we had to pay them like 5 grand for this agency, it just wasn't. They were people that I don't even think they were interested. So I was like, there's got to be a way. So there are Facebook groups that are private that I met, and I met other women that had used surrogates and surrogates themselves. And I met a woman there who's like, listen, I'm on a journey now, but my friend had already done a journey with someone else, and she's looking for somebody else to do one, maybe one more with. I think you guys are very similar. And I was like, great. So we connected. We started text. It was like we were dating. We were texting each
Oh my
other.
gosh.
It was so fun. And one day, and our birthdays were like, I'm November 7th, hers was November 8th. Like it was just like meant to be. And she was like 8 years younger than me. It was perfect in that way. And she was really good at being pregnant. And one
Really
day
good at
she
being
was. This is
pregnant.
like her fifth. She'd had 3 kids of her own. She had her fourth. The fourth one was a surrogate. She carried somebody else's for a couple in France that couldn't, And I was like, oh my gosh. And then one day I was like, I'm flying to meet you. So we met. We went to a spa together. We spent the day.
Where'd she live?
She lived in Gatineau, right over the line
Okay.
in Ottawa, so it was perfect.
Mhm.
And then I went to dinner with her family, and I was like, "This is an amazing person." And the next day, I remember she texted me. We were so funny. She goes, "Would you like to date my uterus?" Like
Oh my
it was like
gosh.
we were just. I mean, but I went, but it was great because we got so close. I mean, she's the godmother of our baby,
Wow.
because I just adore her. She is one of the best people I've ever met. Um, I never would have met her if it wasn't for this.
No.
I met her family. I would go there for every, like, ultrasound and test. I flew there. I stayed at her house. We would watch movies together. I went to her Christmas party together. It was so fun. She's like, "Yeah, this is the woman. I'm carrying her baby." It was so creepy and fun. It was like everybody there was like, "Oh, okay," but it was great. Like it was so normal for us,
Mhm.
and I couldn't even. And it was during COVID actually when well, our baby was born in May of 2020. So COVID didn't start when we got pregnant. It was
Mhm.
like in August, but and then it was like, oh my God, being able to be there for the baby. We had to go, we had to sign all these documents. I had to get all this stuff. Like we didn't even know if we were going to be able to get, because borders then, like
Yeah.
the Quebec Ontario border was like
Everything was so unknown. You had no
totally.
idea.
And there was checkpoints. There was like a guy there, but luckily the guy wasn't there when we went. He was on a lunch break. So we were like, are we in Quebec right now? We are. Oh my God,
Did
we're
we cross
here.
the
We
border?
did it. We did it. Oh my
Oh my
God. My
gosh.
husband's like, this is the most exciting I've been to be in Quebec. Um, so we went to the hospital, and the hospital had no idea. They were so excited for us to be there, but they had never dealt with the surrogacy, and they had never dealt with one during COVID. So
Yeah.
we had to stay in the hospital. We couldn't leave our room. I couldn't be there for the actual like birth part, but
Mhm.
I was like texting and we were there and I was able to, and technically I wasn't even supposed to meet the baby. My husband was, because in Quebec, it's at the time, like the biological mother is the one that gives birth and the biological father is the genetic father. So I wasn't considered even though it was my DNA, it was like a whole thing. But
Oh, come
luckily they
on.
took pity on us. I mean,
Use your brain,
exactly. I was
people.
like, I mean, but now so I went and I was like so excited and it was just, yeah, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience to go through all that and to support that we had together.
Mhm.
And my therapist too, who actually was a breast cancer survivor, my therapist, which was crazy because I had met her years ago and she had had breast cancer. And I remember she had no hair and she was telling me about it. And she's like, listen, I just want you to know. And then to have this happen years later for us to reconnect and like,
Wow.
I'd be like, I called her, I was like, oh my God. And then she just was there for me. So it was really great.
Community's huge for you.
Oh, it's everything. It's everything.
And you seem like
Ellie.
one of those personalities that
I love it.
collects people
I
as
do.
they go.
I got them everywhere. You know what I mean? No, but I think it's great because when you find somebody like yourself that's got this great energy and that connects, you're like, I want to know this person, and this is where I feel safe.
Yeah,
Because ultimately, we're all gonna go through tons of challenges in our
we
lives. We just
do.
want to make sure we're in a place where
Mhm.
we can be ourselves while we're doing it,
Mhm.
and that's how I feel is like the best thing about all this, about this whole journey of everything. And
Mhm.
you never know. I mean, I think the people that I've met as a breast cancer survivor, like I do not wish breast cancer on anyone. It's scary and terrifying and it's so unknown and whatever. But I am a better person for having gone through it. I know more people that I have invested like love in because of it. I'm so thankful for the Rethink community, for everyone I've met through that. Just everything. That journey of like having this vlog, putting myself out there, helped me grow like just as a person. It made me
Mhm.
realize at the end of the day, I want to do something that helps people. Like that's just the most important thing. And I put that in my writing, even when I'm writing about fashion finds for women over 45. Like you want to be able to just bring yourself to the table in as much as you can do. And also going through menopause at a younger age
Yeah.
is something that, a lot of women are in perimenopause now, menopause in their 40s, but to go through it and then just to have like share that experience honestly
Mhm.
with it is really great. Losing your hair a little bit, yeah, your eyelashes. It was fun. I mean, it was great.
It was fun, she
It was
says.
great.
It's all great.
Thank you to Thrive mascara because it's the best one. I did an article on that too. Best
There we
mascara
go.
for menopausal lashes. Yep, great.
So let's take it back a little bit.
Sure.
I wanna know a little bit more about what going through these things was like.
Yeah.
And so for our listeners, they can, if they're going through something similar, they
Yes.
can feel heard and we can get your wisdom
Yeah.
for folks going through
Yeah.
anything in life, really. I think probably your wisdom applies to so many different challenges
Yeah.
that someone would experience. Let's go back to your diagnosis of breast cancer
Oh God. Yeah.
and that experience.
Yeah. It was really scary because I I I had grown my boobs had grown like to a full B cup, right? And I was so
Mhm.
excited. But then when I went back to work, I went back to work at 4 months because I was so excited. I had started a new job. And I could just see, like, my boobs shrunk down because I wasn't breastfeeding. I could see this mass, and
Okay.
it was huge, and I assumed that that's what it was. Like, my friend's like, "Listen, massage it in the shower." But then I was like my friend was in town, and I said, "You know what? I'm gonna go to the doctor."
Yeah,
And
this feels
"This
abnormal.
is," she goes, "Yeah, I could just make the appointment." And I made a joke. I was like, about I got breast I mean, it was like completely, and I go in there, and the look on my doctor's face when she touched the breast was like, I knew this was
Wow.
so bad because she just knew that it was family day weekend, and it was a Friday, and she's like, "Listen, you take this requisition, I'm writing urgent on it, and you make an
Mm.
appointment as fast as you can to get this
Wow.
test done." So I called and they're like, "Sweetie, it's family day weekend." I go and I start crying. I go, "Listen, I got a 9-month-old kid at home. I am losing my mind. I'm not gonna be able to sleep. I'm gonna lose it." And like, she goes, "All right, can you be here in 15 minutes?" I go, "Yes."
Wow.
And it was amazing. It was amazing, the humanity of it. And I got there and they rushed me right through and
For what was
a
that for?
mammogram and an
Okay.
ultrasound
Okay.
to confirm, like, and they went me through the mammogram. They couldn't, and then they went to the ultrasound and I could just tell that they had the radiologist and it was not good.
The
Yes. Oh,
energy, the
it was,
vibe.
yes.
Oof.
And when we went back to the mammogram, they were like, and I could just see it. And I had a call back that day and a missed call from my doctor. It
Terrifying.
was absolutely, and I knew a missed call from my doctor at 3:30 or 4 o'clock
Yeah.
was not good. She, I guess, I don't know what happened, we missed each other. She called me the first thing in the morning on a Saturday,
Wow.
and, she's like, "Unfortunately, Sarah, the news is not good." She goes, "There's like an 85 to 90% chance that what they found is malignant." Now we're not gonna know. Also, what my doctor did, it was great, and this is important, like, I really believe advocating for yourself,
You
that was the
have
no, you
to.
have to, like, my doctor, nurse practitioner was amazing. She was like, "I'm gonna make an appointment with the surgeon even before I'm gonna put a requiem for that," because she knew that this was not gonna her instincts told her that this was gonna be a big deal.
She was getting ahead of it.
Exactly, and
Okay.
either way, this had to go. Like, whatever it was,
Mhm.
it was not good. And she was like, she told me, "This is that we're pretty certain this is what it is in the test," and they sent me the requisition, I mean, the results, and then I had a test I had an appointment on that Tuesday with a surgeon, my breast surgeon,
Mm.
and it was like I don't know if you've ever been to, like, where everyone in there basically either had cancer or there was something about it that was I was the last appointment of the day. We waited in that office for 2.5 hours.
Whoa. You
I
must have seen
Yeah,
some
yeah, like, I
stuff.
was like my husband was with me and provided great guy, but, like, he was just tense. Like, it wasn't you know what I mean? It was just a lot. So we were just sitting there, like, wondering, and finally, when we went in, the doctor was exhausted. You could tell he was just
Yeah.
and he was like, the second he touched my breast, and he's like, "Oh, I think this is a really bad case. I think it's spread." Like, he was terrifying me. And I was like, I go, "Well, you gonna do a biopsy?" And he's like, "Yeah, we'll schedule." I go, "No, you have to do it right now." He goes, "Well," I go, "No, you have to do it right now." I go, "I'll bite down on a spoon. You get your thing. Let's do this." And he's like, I think I totally scared him so much that he actually did it. And when the nurse
Wow.
came in, she's like, "You're doing the biopsy?" He's like, "Yep." And I was like, because I was like, and it was great because then I waited the 2 weeks. And in the meantime, he's like, "Okay, let's assume that maybe that it hasn't spread. Let's start with an MRI. That'll tell us a lot." So I got in for an MRI and he did the biopsy and I was calling and calling. Like I was like every day, like my doctor was calling to check the results and they hadn't come in. And even for the MRI, they were like, "We'll put you on this list." I was like, "I need to get in right now." I go, "If I bring you in the biggest bottle of vodka, will you put me in right now?" She goes, "Not necessary, but thanks for the offer. I'm gonna get you in right now." So it's amazing what you imploring your human emotions. I'm not saying it's gonna work, but it was great. So we were able to get one because the one that we had was like at midnight because you know how they do them all at night.
Yeah.
I was like, "No, I cannot get able to wait." So she got me in like the afternoon. My mother-in-law drove. We got there, and it was we got there. We had at least that peace of mind. I was able to sleep that night knowing
Wow.
we were going to have some answers. So it turned out that the cancer had not spread to my lymph nodes. Although an MRI is not definitive. It's not till you go in there that you see it that you know. But, once we found that out, like, but my doctor and this is really scary when we were getting that result of the biopsy and the MRI results. I was sitting in my doctor's office, like, on this, like, wax paper with my mother-in-law holding my hand. He had not reviewed the results yet. So we were getting the results at the exact same time that he was.
The
Yeah,
reactions of the
yeah,
professionals.
and it was like he was like, It looks like yeah, it hasn't spread." "Okay," and he was like I'm like, "All right, great, I'm happy," I'm like, "Okay, that's good, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, so we'll do this, we'll schedule you for a double mastectomy and a
Wow.
reconstruction." It was like, I mean, we knew we had to act fast within 5 weeks. I had that because even though we didn't know, I was like, it was just he was unclear because it was so large. It could have been, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? He wanted to get that done as fast as possible. So within 5 weeks, which was great. But in that time, I went to get a second opinion in New York, and that's when
You
I
were busy. That
oh,
was a
yeah.
busy 5 weeks, and it
Yeah.
strikes me so much. I hear 3
Yep.
opportunities where you advocated, you pushed,
Totally.
you were a squeaky wheel,
Absolutely.
and it worked, and I can only imagine how much longer that would have been if you hadn't
It
done
would
that.
have been intolerable, and I can't even tell you, like, even when I connected with my plastic surgeon, he was like I said, "Listen, if you have an opening, whatever," and then he called me on to tell me that, like, he had an opening for the reconstruction, like, later like, it's amazing. Just be you, be honest, and be someone like, don't be afraid to advocate and ask those questions and be yourself because it makes a huge difference, and you also they wanna connect with you. You're only in there for, like, 7 minutes, right? So
Mhm.
just like anything you can do to sort of be yourself and like connect with them. And it was actually through there that I discovered my doctor, who was turned out being a really great guy, this surgeon. He was in charge of a patient as teacher program at St. Michael's Hospital because he
Hmm.
taught at the University of Toronto. And you basically go into like third-year residency classes and you share your stories and everything you do, and then you help them be better doctors.
Cool.
And some of them really needed it. Okay. Is
Oh
what
yeah.
I mean,
We've all
yeah,
had
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
socially awkward,
yes,
emotionally distant doctors that you
exactly.
come away from it and you're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, and then one doctor, I remember he was like, "I'm going to research," and I was thinking, "Thank God." Like, okay. But, but you see the ones that are like family doctors that really wanna do that, and you
Yeah.
realize, like, they're asking the questions, and they're like, "What could you have done differently?" I said, "Eye contact is a big deal. Make eye contact." You'd be surprised how many residents that I saw, like, through the process
Sure.
that didn't make any eye contact, or
Yeah.
that were like one guy was really awkward, and it's just it can just it didn't affect me, but if
Mhm.
I was someone that was less dynamic, I would have been really
Mhm.
uncomfortable. One doctor, they didn't realize I was there. And when I was waiting with my sister for like 45 minutes, he goes, "Oh my God, you're here?" I was like, "So just, check."
You have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
check.
like you
You
just gotta,
really have
just
to.
just take a peek. You know what I mean? It's like it's amazing those little things that you can do. And also
Mhm.
if you're gonna scare somebody with information, be understanding that nothing is definitive. Like you just, to the doctors themselves and make a joke. Like I remember I was making a joke with my did he doing the biopsy? I'm like, "So are you a Patriots fan?" He's like, because at the time the Patriots were really a big deal to me. They aren't anymore. The team has really taken a
Over
turn.
it.
It's over it. Tom Brady left. I left. Anyway, but he was like, "Yeah, I know. I didn't watch football. I was too busy studying." I was like, I was an A student too, buddy." I was like, "But I still turn on a game every once in a while." I mean, it was just like the way he was, he didn't want to. I got it. He wasn't a people person at that
Yeah.
moment. He was scared and whatever. But it's amazing what that will do to diffuse the pain as he's putting a needle and trying to find a lymph node under my arm with very light
Sure.
anesthesia. So you're like just topical anesthesia. So you're just kind of like just be a person.
And what about I feel like there's a lot of fear for folks around that advocacy. There's maybe
Absolutely.
some I'm trying to put myself in people's shoes. It's that people pleasing pattern. Like they don't want to be a
Absolutely.
bother. They
You're
don't want to
like
be
you're like,
judged.
"Okay, whatever you say." It's like my mother-in-law had a very similar situation. I mean, she had a doctor that I went to when I first moved to Canada, and I'm a Canadian citizen, but I was living in New York City, and I remember I went there, and it was her doctor, and I was like, "This doctor is the worst doctor I've ever seen." She goes, "Well, I've been seeing him for 35 years." I was like, "Well, it's time to not see him anymore." So
Yeah.
I went and found her a new she was like and it was a woman. She goes, "It's a female." I go, "Yeah, they can be doctors too
Oh,
now too." I was like,
wow.
"Yeah," I was like, "Girls can do it too." But she was like, "I've never had." I was like, and she was great, and the doctor was great, and it ended up she needed a pacemaker. They checked her. She goes, "Well," I go, she was like, "I found one really close to her. You could geographically go in there and just check her blood pressure." So we were able to get that under control. Like it's just amazing, but you have to know that you have to advocate. Like if it's
Yeah.
not good, it's not good. And it's just because something has worked before doesn't mean it's going to work now. And I
Mhm.
know in Canada, it's interesting. People always say like I have a lot of relatives and stuff in the states, and they're all like, "Well, the Canadian healthcare system, it's like socialist or whatever." You know what I'm like?
Mhm.
Well, no, we just take care of our people. And but also like if you have a bad doctor, you can get another doctor. You just have to try. Get a
Mhm.
you know what I mean? You have to go looking for them. It's not, you have to do the work. You have to know that your health is the most important thing.
Mhm.
And I think that it's hard to feel confident in that sometimes. You're like, he seems like a nice guy. I've been going to him. He delivered my kids. It's like, yeah, you know what?
Why do we feel
I
like
don't
we
know.
need to
I
take care of
I'm
other
like, the guy's
people's
making
emotions?
$250,000 a year. He's good. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of
Yeah.
that relationship. It's like,
Yeah.
but I think for women especially, they're so tempted to sort of like, oh, it's
Get
not that bad.
small.
Yes, they do.
Mhm.
And especially older, like elderly, my mother-in-law was like scared because she's scared of the doctor. But I was like, guess what? You know what? I need you to live for a really long time because you're my favorite person. So we're going to
Mhm.
get you what you need.
Mhm.
And so she was like, I would go with, she goes, well, and then when she got the pacemaker, I slept in the bed with her at the hospital because I was like, she was
Yeah.
so scared. So I was just like, but she needed it.
So maybe if you struggle, if you know that you struggle with advocating for yourself
Totally.
and being that squeaky wheel, take your support person. You had your
Absolutely.
sister, you had your mother-in-law, you were that support person for
Yes.
others.
Or find a community. I mean, this is the thing. When you get diagnosed with something, even if it's like IBS, whatever it is, like whatever you're dealing with, their struggles, depression, find other people that are going through it
Mhm.
that you trust, that you respect. And they can always be someone you could lean on, that you can be like, okay, what do I do? And that can help you advocate. If you feel like you're scared to do it yourself, or you feel like you don't want to be like, you're more intimidated by the process, or you don't want to make a big deal because you're like, well, my problem's so small. It's just this. No,
Other people
yeah.
have it
Yeah, like, you know
worse.
what I mean? It's not
Mhm.
this, it's not that. Yeah, but it's your journey, and your mental health is connected to all of this.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know where I would have been without the support of my mental
Mm.
health. I mean, like, and the people that, and then that's when you really discover too, people who are just not into mental health as an important thing. Like, they're like, well, just get over it. Like, well, I'm a breast cancer survivor forever, hopefully, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you want to deal with that. You carry that with you, which
Mhm.
I think is an honor to be a survivor. It really is.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure that you're changed by it.
Yeah.
So your emotions are changed. How I deal with death is different. I was so excited when we had our second kid by surrogacy. I think I was even more excited than our first kid because I was there for every minute and it meant so much to me,
Yeah.
and I wanted to take care of this woman that was carrying our baby, that was doing this for us and her family. And it was so much like
Mhm.
I felt so much more growth emotionally.
There's
And
so much more gratitude. There's this
absolutely.
whole person that you wouldn't have had that connection with.
Absolutely, like, I was getting 2 kids. I was getting 2 people out of this, a baby and
Yeah.
a new bud, a best friend
Yeah.
who I can text at any moment of the day, and she's there for me. I mean, support.
Mhm.
Like, and she herself was doing this because she wanted to find a purpose, like, for herself. She was kind of going through a little, like, just kind of, like, doubting, like,
Mhm.
doing something good, and she did it the first time, and it was great, and then but she wanted, and she said she'd do it one more time, and she found me, and she's like, "This is the only person I would," and also my journey as a breast cancer survivor. She had seen my vlog. She loved it. She loved who I was. Like, it was the connection, like, wanting to do this for someone and what that does for you. So,
Mhm.
people are sometimes afraid to be themselves because they're afraid, but I think when you are yourself is when you get, like, the
Mhm.
most out of everything.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, in relationships and in my work, sometimes you have people come and they struggle with their
Yep.
connections and they
Yep.
feel lonely.
Yep.
And a cause of that I've realized more recently is you can have tons of connections, but if you're not being your authentic self
Yep.
in them, you might feel lonely
Yeah,
because you're
exactly.
not fully seen. You're not fully in that
I
relationship.
also think when you're dealing with things like, infertility struggles or, just cancer,
Mhm.
illnesses, you start to see who the real people in your life are.
Mm.
And sometimes you don't like what you see. And it can be really hard emotionally to look
Yeah.
at somebody and be like, wow, that person's a real dick. You know what I mean? Like, this
Mhm.
isn't the person I thought you were, or wow. And you have to make changes. And sometimes, and the confidence to make those changes is why you need the support of a community where you can say, listen, this is how I feel. And I know that some marriages ended, and, I mean, even with COVID, you saw people spending more time together and
Mhm.
you realize, wow, this is not who I thought this person was.
Mhm.
Or you're like, "Wow, I really love this person. Thank God we're trapped in this house together playing Monopoly nonstop." You know what I mean? And, like, in that way. So, I think that is really important to sort of see for yourself and to recognize that that's totally natural. And
Yeah.
and 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 it's actually a gift because would you want someone in your life that is not evolving with you or is able to handle this? It's a real sign there.
Yeah. Your mental health
Oh,
during this journey. What the heck was it like?
oh,
And let's remind listeners, you have
yeah.
an
A a
infant.
baby, yeah, a baby, and that I couldn't hold after I had my double mastectomy. So, when you have and he didn't understand because I
Of
was,
course.
and he was like, You can't hold me, but I can sit near you." So, I would be on the floor a lot, and he would crawl, you know what I mean? And he just wanted to be right here, and also I couldn't breastfeed anymore,
Yeah.
and I think that was the worst because I loved breastfeeding, and I didn't imagine that I would be someone that would love it so
Mhm.
much,
Mhm.
but to see the way that my son just calmed with it, the way we would have our time rocking, um, and taking that away from him, Oh, torture. We had to double up on sessions that week, let me tell you something, Kelly,
Yeah.
because I really felt like part of me was gone. And, more so than my breasts did nothing for me. They were just A cups that, like, I had to pad that I had no relationship with. One was bigger than the other. Even with the reconstruction, one happens to be bigger than the other, so it's more natural for me. I have no nipples. Like, it was just, like, but to feel that, to know that, like, I was unable to give that to my
Yeah.
son.
To have that experience and then to have it
Totally.
be taken
Yep.
away.
I mean, luckily, I'd always done bottle feeding and breastfeeding, so but still, to not be able to, it was just such, like, oh, it was torture, and
It's
to
a
deal
big
with that.
loss for
Yeah,
you.
it was, and my head went to a place of, like, I felt less like a mom a little bit for a couple of, I mean, I was exhausted too. Sleeping with the double mastectomy was just like, I mean, I had a C-section and that was painful, but after 5 days, it was done. Like, the pain was, this was like, I couldn't sleep on my back, I mean, my stomach. I'm a
Yeah.
side, there was just a constant awareness, of it. So that was a real pickle. Eh,
There's loss.
there was loss. It was, and I didn't expect to feel the loss because, like, I didn't care. I was like, chop them off, but I didn't expect to feel the loss of what these, like, functional
Mhm.
boobies did to connect me with my son. So I was worried. I was worried that we weren't gonna, like, you know what I mean? And I was sad. I was so sad that something that I really enjoyed, that I was good
Mhm.
at, like, it was so natural. He latched quickly. He was just great at it. Um, that he was in, and he kept reaching around there. I was like, "There's nothing there,"
Oh,
And so,
yeah.
but it was fine. I mean, we had really good bottles and it was good, but it was just emotionally, I just realized how much I enjoyed that aspect of
Yeah.
being a mom, for myself. And it was fine after. It just took a little bit. It's just because it's so jarring to immediately, like, you just stop. Like,
Yeah.
we stopped, I breastfed a couple days before, and then that was the end of it. So it was, yeah. But that was hard, and you don't know how you're gonna respond to these things
Mm-mm.
until you're in them.
And sometimes too, you respond immediately, and sometimes you respond
Oh.
delayed.
It was like, I was more concerned, like, the actual surgery, the diagnosis, that was hard, but it was fixable in that we had
What was
solutions.
hard?
It was hard because I couldn't believe something that was so little in my body was trying to, like, I was like, I had these boobs were so inconsequential to me on my whole life. They did nothing. And then it turns out they were going to be the one thing that was, like, going to kill me. Right. Which I really got scared about. But what was also really hard was that I didn't understand how someone as healthy as myself, like, I did all
Mm,
the right
mhm.
things. I worked out every day of my pregnancy. I had ankle weights on until the day I delivered. I was like, I loved being pregnant. It was the best time. And I wanted to do it again, if you can believe it.
Mhm.
I was so psyched to do it again. And knowing that I really couldn't do it again safely. And then
Mhm.
my doctor's like, I didn't expect it. I didn't
Yeah.
expect to enjoy it as much, and I didn't expect to be as good at it, and that I would wanted to do it. And knowing that that aspect of my life was forever,
That's a huge loss.
yeah, it was a loss. And it was also a loss, like, for my son too, because I wanted him to see me pregnant too, partially. It didn't
Mm.
matter. I mean, like, he's like, whatever. Like, we got pregnant. My son was like 3 when the baby was born, so it was really seamless. He just
Mhm.
didn't even, but it was like, I always kind of wanted to be like, there's a baby in there. I
Yeah.
mean, and he met my surrogate, he's like his baby, but we didn't want to, like, get too confusing with him
Mhm.
that this was, his brother or sister was in there, and this was like, she was the microwave, we were the TV dinner. Like, so we just, but I wanted that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just because it was so, the loss, you don't realize how much loss you experience when you're dealing with something like breast cancer.
Something
Yes,
life-changing.
yes, and I did not expect that feeling. I thought I was so grateful to be alive, but
Yeah.
I didn't think I was gonna be so bummed.
What do you do with the bummed? How do you cope with it for others that are bummed about things
Yeah,
in their life
you're
that
right.
have changed?
For
What do you
me,
do?
you're right, you share your story. You
Okay.
get up in front of people, you tell your story, you go on shows, you go on, like, I was on talk shows, I was on interview, you share it. And you make other people feel better because you survived it, and it's not like it's easy. It's never easy. I can't even tell you the power of sharing your story is probably the greatest thing. I mean, even in therapy, when you share your story with your therapist,
Mhm.
just the act of unburdening yourself from that, or just sharing it and
Mm.
seeing the response from another person, is exciting. It's thrilling, really. And it keeps that part of you alive that is constantly, figuring things out. And you never just get it. I'm not like, check, breast cancer, we're done. It's like, no, it's like, what can I do? I'm like 7 years out now. I've lost some friends to the disease and
Mm.
women I've interviewed for articles.
Oh, that's gotta
Yep,
be.
mothers. I did an article about 3 women that had metastatic breast cancer and what it's like to live with them, and 2 of them have passed.
Oh, that's hard.
Actually, those 4,
Really
2 3 of them have passed. Yep,
it's really hard to process and
yep,
must bring up a lot in you.
yeah, and it's terrifying too when, I'd gone on retreats with these women. They were
Mhm.
so healthy. They had children, like, relatively, like, one woman, like, had the baby the same age as mine, and hers was just she thought she was cured, and then it just came back, and she just died within, like, a year.
Ooh,
And another
heavy.
woman had it like I remember I met this woman at an event, that I was hosting. I was hosting this sort of, like, red carpet event or blue pink carpet event for this booby ball thing that they did for Rethink Breast Cancer. It was so fun, and I met her, and she had just been diagnosed with metastatic. She had had breast cancer, then it had come back. She just found out, and she, like, died, like, 4 years later. But we were making plans to hang out. Like, you know what I mean? It's just yeah, it just doesn't ever, like,
That's
doesn't
what my brain
yeah,
I I feel that sometimes humans aren't meant to fully absorb or
yeah,
process or, like, have some things be real, like,
yeah,
you're talking about it, and it's so heartbreaking and so, like,
absolutely.
personal to you, but it doesn't quite sink in, and I think that's kinda
Yes,
normal.
it's totally normal, and then you have people that are gonna tell you, like my mother-in-law who I adored, she was amazing. She's like, "Well, just are we gonna stop with this cancer stuff now? Are we gonna stop with it?" I go, "No, we're never gonna stop with it." It makes me feel good every single time
Mm.
I write an article and I share it. And even when you think about, like, when I first got diagnosed, the first thing I did was reach out to see what celebrities had it, like, to see what people I knew, like, just because I wanted to hear their experiences, the
Yeah.
nitty-gritty, the waiting,
It
the
almost
how
becomes, like,
it
addictive. You just wanna,
does.
like,
You
take in other
you
people's
do. You're like, what
stories.
you wanna find out, you wanna see it. And a couple weeks before I was diagnosed, before I even knew, I remember I had followed a woman who also got diagnosed, like, during when she would just had a baby,
Mhm.
and it was someone that I had, like, knew kind of, and it was like her story sat in my head, and then to have that happen, like, 3 weeks later to me, I was like, "Wow."
Mhm.
Thank God I had read that before, just seen it,
Mhm.
and it made me feel, like, so not alone. And it's that loneliness that you don't your spouse is never gonna get it, or your partner, in the way that you need them to,
Mhm.
so you just need to find people that do. 'Cause, like, I remember I was getting, like, text messages late at night from women that were like, "I just got diagnosed. I saw your vlog. It saved me today. Thank you." And I was like, "That was a gift." I was like, "Thank you so much. You have no idea how happy that made me."
I feel like that's the the
That
the epitome of
that's it.
life.
That's it. Check. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm good. I could die. No,
Yeah.
I don't wanna die now, but I'm just saying, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but it was like, that's what it is. And I started to find my purpose more when I got my diagnosis. I really feel like there's, like, before cancer and after cancer, there's, like, everything I do now has to mean something. Like, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, I have to, like, make people laugh, or I have to share my story in a way that provides support. It can't just be, like, nothing. Everything I do every day. It
Mhm.
doesn't and even if I do something, like, when I'm working on a commercial or something, I wanna have fun. I wanna be fully
Mhm.
present in what I'm doing, connect with other people, share what I'm doing with them, and it keeps you ironically, being that close to something that's so end of life keeps you more in your life than you would ever imagine it to.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Sounds
that's
like it really you came out of that experience with a really enriched life, and I see someone
totally.
in front of me who is incredibly sure of themselves and
Yeah.
confident. I don't wanna put that on
Yeah.
you, but I
No.
feel like you are
Listen,
confident.
it's not like I got what I got. Like,
Yeah.
I'm stuck with what it is. My irregular boobs, my scars, I love them all. I'm so grateful for them, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? I've also had skin cancer, like, I had it removed, and it's like, just get on it, like,
Mhm.
don't be afraid
Mhm.
to ask the questions because 'cause you're afraid of the answers, and go to the doctors and that kind of feeling. But I feel like as you get older, I'm 40, I'm gonna be 49, and
Woo.
I know, oh my god, I'm almost 50. Oh, exciting.
I love that we both cheer
Yeah,
about
we're
it.
like, I'm like, well, listen, I'm here.
It's exciting.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and it's fun because people are like, oh, you don't look. I'm like, get to an age where you're like, you're proud of the work you've done. The Pilates has paid off. You know what I mean? And you're just like, but you're also like, I made it. You're here.
Yeah.
Where so many people aren't.
And you know yourself
Oh yeah,
so much better.
you do.
Yeah.
And it's like I always said, I'm working on a project right now. I keep talking about it, but I maybe if I talk about it enough, I'll actually finish it. About being an older first time mom. I had my first child at 40, and I've been interviewing people that have also been older moms and what that's done for them, like waiting. And then that's why Diane Keaton's lost. I know she was a mom at 50, like in her 50s.
Wow.
She adopted her first baby, then her second, like a few years later. But I think that is. I could never imagine being a mom younger. Like, you know what I mean? There's so much strength in it. Like, there's so much more confidence. Like, okay, yeah, my kid didn't like make that milestone. Well, bummer. He's gonna walk eventually. It's not like he's gonna crawl forever, or maybe he is, but he didn't. His secret's out. He's walking very well now. He's 8. But yeah, he's good. He's a runner. I know, not really, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like that. You realize, and you want to share more of that. Like, that was part of what it is. Again, like finding the community.
Tell me a little bit about your experience in therapy throughout this journey. What did therapy do for you?
Well, it was funny. I had taken a break from my therapist when I'd had my baby. I was really close with her. Like I kept I had a therapist I was doing remotely. But then when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, she had been a breast cancer survivor herself. I immediately reached out to her.
Yeah.
I sent her my results. She read them. She was calling me in the car. Like, we were great. And it actually helped me in a way, like in her experience, who would have known. And that, I can't even tell you like what that did for me. I mean, it saved my life.
Well, what a double whammy, right?
Yep.
It's your therapist who you trust professionally,
Yep.
but also somebody that gets your story.
Exactly. And she had done it all. The chemo, the testing, she knew the language. So she and I were just, and when she would make time for me whenever. And that kind of generosity, it was reminded me. I mean, I had been with her for like 10 years, and then I had taken a little break, and then, but then I reconnected with her. And then after I had, when I was going through surrogacy, sharing my journey and all that was important. I wanted an in-person therapist. She had been my therapist when I was living in the States. So we were able to sort of continue. I knew it was time to have in-person. So I started to get one here. And especially there's the surrogacy, all that. I needed to talk to someone. I mean, just to make sure, to share my excitement too. Like, you know what I mean? My husband was so much more like, he was so nervous about it, but I was so excited because I had this great person that I was connecting with. And
someone to just be authentic.
Exactly.
With.
That I could,
You don't have to censor what you're experiencing or expressing for the other person.
Exactly. I didn't have to be like, well, Sarah, we got to make sure we're being, anything could happen, I'm like, okay. I'm like, I wanted to be giddy about it. And so my therapist was great for that. And also as a breast cancer survivor myself, I was like, and she wasn't, this therapist wasn't, but just to talk about like life and like how, what it meant to have 2 kids, and she had 2 kids, and like, you know what I mean? Like it was fun, like just to have that. And it allowed me to have the joy. Like I think therapy during that time allowed me to really relish all the joy that was going on and just savor it. And I savored it with my friends and family, of course, but just to have a professional person that can be like, isn't this so great?
Yeah.
Isn't this so great? Like, you know what I mean? And it was just like, yes, it's great. And, and those moments when I was scared, like, I never worried that the baby wouldn't like bond with me, but I was worried that other people would think that. And they did. The first thing people thought, like, there's this idea of surrogacy. First, they don't understand it. My brother-in-law, up until like a year and a half ago, thought the baby was biologically related to the surrogate. I was like, I wrote about this. Do you read nothing that I write about?
You didn't read anything.
I was like, that Glamour article was just, anyway.
Skimmed it.
Yeah, totally. Anyway. Nice guy though. And I cleared it up. And it was like, but you realize like other people, you would kind of have to like,
you have to be strong to do that.
Exactly.
You have to be strong to correct misunderstandings with empathy without letting it kind of shake you.
Exactly.
Without building up resentment towards other people.
And I didn't share our journey. The only people that knew about our surrogacy journey was my parents, my sister, my husband. And until I was about 4 months pregnant, or 5 months pregnant, nobody at work knew. I was able to keep it. No, I'm sorry. No, until she was about 5 months, I didn't even keep it. I didn't even let anyone know.
Yeah.
So we didn't share it with anyone.
Yeah, so you need
So yeah,
someone.
so I needed someone that I could be like,
Yeah.
because we really, so, and then also what happened was all of a sudden we just had a baby. Like, it was like the baby comes, it's like, what?
Yeah.
And it was like the alarm of that, like the shock, and people were so happy, and I think they understood. But to have that, like, to keep everything so, like, when I was pregnant, you could see it eventually, like, you know what I mean? I kept it close to my chest too for a while for that, but still, like, it was scary, like, to, like, not have to be able to shout it,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it was kinda neat having this kinda thing between me and it made my husband and I think, get a lot closer too, because we
Mhm.
were sharing this thing that we were both, totally invested in more than anybody else,
Yeah.
and but yeah, but, like, there's the fallout, like, surrogate, what does it mean? You're defining it, you're
Mhm.
figuring it out for people. She did this for free, this is weird, what's wrong with her? I'm like, you know?
You need
Yep,
that professional to
yep.
help process, and what I'm hearing that I love is therapy can be
Oh,
joyful. Therapy
absolutely.
can be, your therapy appointment can be something that you look forward
Oh,
to. I remember back in my younger adult teenager days, like, oh my God, my therapist appointments were like the dreaded appointment of the
yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but now it is something that you look forward to, and
Oh.
people can have that.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
love my therapist.
Yeah.
And if the second, this is a big thing for me. The second, like, I went out with a couple other therapists, not went out, but like
Mhm.
I remember one woman, she didn't make any eye contact. One woman was really, just was more just uncomfortable. Just
Mhm.
walk away. Like, again, my friend and I were talking about this, the idea that I got to break up with my therapist. Like, the idea, you got to break up with them. I'm like, listen, she goes, I dread going to her. She goes, I keep canceling the appointments. I'm like, it's,
Oh,
and then how do
then
I break
please
up?
stop.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know. She's like, it's not you. It's, I go, you don't owe her anything. I go, I like, just be like, it's over. You
we
don't have to tell
yeah.
her why. Just be like, this isn't, you know what I mean? And then,
We
eh,
can take care of our own
yes,
emotions, and we have peers, we have supervisors,
yes,
we have ways to process that. And honestly, a good therapist will just want you to get the support that you need.
absolutely.
So if any of my clients come to me and they're like, "Kelly, this isn't working," I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
yay, proud of you.
yep,
Let's find you who is going to work." It's
totally.
only a celebration.
That's what I think. I think and that's really good to hear from
Yeah.
from a therapist.
Yeah.
They're like, they want you to be better. You know what I
Oh,
mean? I mean, I did have a really weird marriage. We went to marriage counseling just before we had a kid, just to sort of like talk about some stuff. The therapist was odd, but she really liked my husband. So it was like, she was like, I was like, he didn't want it. I was like, we're ending this and we're done here. Like, I don't care how much you like this woman. Like, she was like an older woman that was just, she just was single. She just really felt like he was like a good guy. And it was difficult for him. I was like, we're done. You know what I
mhm.
mean? And she kind of chased me. She followed me on LinkedIn. She started to like, I
Oh,
was like,
icky.
yeah, like,
That's
you know what I'm
icky.
saying? Like, it was like, this has got to be against something. I'm sure that you took an
Icky.
oath or something.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
she also would like take her shoes off during the appointment and like randomly go to the bathroom. She was very odd. I mean, there were signs, you
Yeah.
know, you know. Um, but
Too
the
funny.
point is that, like, you don't owe her anything. I
Yeah.
think that was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was my husband's like, well, I go, no, it's over.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, podcast is called Permission to Heal.
Permission to heal.
I want you to send out a permission to listeners who are resonating with your story. Permission to do something or feel something, whatever.
Okay. Permission to have a bad day.
You have permission to
To have
have
a
a
bad
bad
day. I
day.
don't care. Even if you're like 7 years out or 8 years out, and you're lucky and you can just have a bad day. You can be sad no matter what's going on with your life, even if it doesn't seem as bad as somebody else's. Permission just to sort of wallow a little bit, to have that moment.
Feel the feelings.
Totally. Cry in the shower or whatever, or like in the car. Talk to yourself. Permission to talk to yourself. Actually, that's a really good one. Permission to talk to yourself in the car is a good one too. But yeah, permission.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Amazing. Thank you. It's fun.
This podcast is proudly brought to you by Ally Therapy, where we believe that shame shrinks when we share our stories in safe spaces, and that every Canadian should have access to affordable therapy. Join the over 38,000 Canadians who have found their perfect therapist match through our personalized matching quiz at ally.io. That's ALLI.io, because you always have permission to heal.